This is Smithy.tv.
The Lindsay Lewis.
At Kevin Herron.
How you doing today, man?
Not too bad, not too bad.
You seem kind of excited. Is there something you're excited about?
I don't know if you've heard, but for the past 3 months we've been on a road trip.
Where have we been? Where are we driving?
We're on the road to WrestleMania.
That's right, folks. We are on the road to WrestleMania. So we're recording this the night after Raw, the final Raw before WrestleMania. So we're a few days till WrestleMania. We've heard what happens with SmackDown. We haven't seen it, but otherwise we've seen all the shows.
Yep.
Let's just get right into it. Got a lot of talk about tonight. Whether we thought it was a lackluster build to WrestleMania. We're going to break down the matches of who we think will win or should win. We're going to talk a bit about that. But it's been an interesting road, I got to say. Not what I expected, because
that is a word for it, yeah.
Whether it's the matches we wanted, you can't always get what you want, but at the same time, once you commit to those matches, go full force with those and the storytelling. And some of them have delivered, and there's a couple that haven't. And so it's kind of made my excitement that we were talking about maybe not be as high rise as it should be.
It's a weird year for the hype, I think. It's there, but it's not quite.
You have Sting coming there, but if you really were using it as a selling point, maybe having him debut at the Rumble would have been better, have maybe Triple H enter it. But so we're talking about the build to WrestleMania. What better way to kind of break it down than maybe we'll go match by match?
We'll go that works. So I guess we'll start with the pre-show.
Yeah, so there's a 2-hour pre-show hosted by the 5-time WCW champion Booker T. I'm sure Renee and maybe we got all those. And
maybe some. Prince Albert.
Yeah, we'll get someone in there. Tensai. They're going to be there on the pre-show. It's going to be 2 hours of hype. And then we're going to have one match on the pre-show, which by chance last year was a pre-show match as well. The tag team title match. Fatal 4-way too.
Fatal 4-way tag team title match.
We're not sure yet. This is the one thing we weren't sure about. Is it elimination or is it just a one fall finish?
I'm going to assume one fall finish because they haven't really specified.
So we got Cesaro and Kid. We got Los Matadores with El Torito. We got the Usos, your favorite tag team. And we have the Wild Cards in New Day.
Yeah.
So what do we got happening here?
I gotta say, my gut instinct says that Cesaro and Kid will retain.
I gotta say, my gut goes with that. What I hope happens is, by hook or crook, I hope somehow, or shenanigans, I'd love to see New Day win and see what they can do with that. If they win, though, I don't know if they can be such good guys.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, with this, you have 4 teams. One is kind of a heel team. Yeah. The rest are kind of face teams, right? So it would make sense to have one of them take the opportunity, being on WrestleMania, to make that transition into being a heel.
With that said, though, I think we both agree that we think Cesaro and Kid are going to win this match.
I think they're going to win.
I think they're going to go with the obvious outcome is okay on the pre-show, I think. I do think it's unfair that this is a pre-show match for the second year in a row. Yeah. Especially when your Andre the Giant champion, Battle Royal champion last year, is now in the pre-show. Yeah. That says a lot about the winner about that thing.
I agree.
Which leads us to that match, actually, which might be the first match or one of the earlier matches on the card. The Andre the Giant, the second annual Andre the Giant Battle Royal. What do you expect to see here? I know we won't talk about every superstar because there's still some mysteries, like will the Sheamuses be in this or the IC title match or any match at all? But who do you like in this?
I'm really liking Mizdow to win it.
Okay, we were kind of discussing this off camera or in our longer audio version of the show. I broke it down to, I thought the third place spot to have a chance to win would be either a surprise Sheamus or hashtag Axelmania. My number 2 choice was, and I do think should win this match, but I don't know if he will since they've kind of made it obvious, but I think he's the right guy to win this match, is Ryback. But I do agree with you. I do think they're going to go with a payoff where maybe they, like, Ryback's going to get a moment where he eliminates Kane and Big Show, and then Miz and Mizdow together maybe eliminate Ryback, and then Miz says, get out of the ring, and then Mizdow has the crowd behind him, and he pretends he's going to go, and then the last second he goes, no, and he's going to break that classic storyline like they've used for years, and he's going to eliminate the Miz. Most likely that's going to happen. The wild card thing is Ryback wins, but I think those are the only 2 guys that have a chance at winning the match, unless Sheamus is in there and they want the crowd to boo.
Well, even a great spot would be Mizdow going through the middle rope, and then not going over the top rope, and then having Miz celebrate thinking he won, and then have him come in.
And then have that moment go like, get out, and then he doesn't do it. I think if Mizdow wins, the final 2 people will be him and Miz. That's the only way to make it full payoff. But long term, my worry is he the right guy to win this match? That's why I think Ryback should win this match. But I do agree with you that Mizdow or Damien Sandow will win this match.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see, and Will they go with this storyline months to come? Will be worthwhile, whether it's Mizdow or Ryback or Sheamus or Curtis Axel. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that could happen. It's a curious match. It's one of those matches, if you're doing points for voting on WrestleMania, that's the wild card.
Yeah.
But most likely, most people think right now would side, if you're betting in Vegas odds, it's probably Mizdow is probably number one on that.
I'd say that because he's the only one with an actual story. Really.
Yeah, I mean, Ryback's the one. It's the wild card where he's got a future. They clearly care about him, and I think something like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal is a great title for him to have. And whereas they might right the wrongs they did with Cesaro last year. Yeah. So that's why I'm hoping they do the right thing. But they still, if Mizdow gets it, I think there'll be a party that cheers for that moment.
I'll agree with that, yeah.
So now let's go to a match that isn't for a title, but should have been probably the Divas tag team match.
Yeah.
We got the Bella Twins versus, as you call them, AJ and Paige. Who do you got winning in this match? I think it's going to be an entertaining match. I think surprisingly entertaining. It's not going to be a bathroom break match this year, I think.
No, I think they're going to put on a great match, and I think the working styles of the female wrestlers these days.
I like how we're both doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know how close the camera is, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just. I just got onto that. That's funny.
Visual.
But so I think that they have potential to get up to around the caliber of a Trish Stratus and
Lita.
And Lita. Diva division, and
I just think it would have been bigger if the titles were on the line.
I think so, and they still have the potential in my mind, which is not going to happen, but
to make it a title match.
I would think that if they make it a fatal four-way after the way that the Divas segment ended on Raw with the team of Paige,
you'd be okay with that,
title match. They had an altercation.
Who do you pick to win that title match if it becomes a title match?
I'd say Paige.
Now, let's be real, it's probably not going to be a title match, so who are we picking? I think we're both going to agree that it's WrestleMania. If you're not going to get the title and there's no title line, you might as well go with the good guys winning, the people like them better. They're better wrestlers, probably, technically. So I think Paige or AJ and Paige win this match.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it's going to be a good match. I think they're going to get a good 10 minutes to showcase themselves, and I hope they deliver. And just to say, to make that hashtag give Divas a chance, to give them a chance at WrestleMania. I think it's an important match this year. It's more important than the last few years. So I think there's a lot on the line this match, and I think they're going to try their best to deliver, and I think they probably will.
I think so too. Yeah.
So now let's go into an actual title match. Let's go talk about one of the biggest ones of the pay-per-view. Because originally there's some guys in there that people are going, should they be in this match? Do they really care about this title? But now that it's happening, you care enough. The IC title ladder match, aka Money in the Ladder match.
Yeah. I really do think that they're going to use this opportunity to elevate the importance of the IC title. And the clearest, most direct way to do that is to give it to somebody with big name value, and having somebody on the card in that match like Daniel Bryan, I think that's a pretty foolproof way to get a good reaction.
But let me throw this at you. Someone like Dean Ambrose is constantly, he's had some bad bookings before this storyline, and he's still getting cheered by people, and he's in the Shield. Don't you think he can bring that a bit?
I think so, but...
But you think Daniel Bryan is the...
Daniel Bryan's on a higher level, I think, than that in terms of a crowd reaction. Some people may disagree with me on that, and I know, I'm a big Dean Ambrose fan. I think he's...
That's my pick of who I think should win. Whether he wins is a different question.
Yeah.
My thought, and I want to put this out there to you and the people watching this, is Daniel Bryan last year ended WrestleMania with this great moment at WrestleMania 30 winning the championship. The year after, he wins the IC title and he treats it like the exact same. I would feel that robs the moment of last year, and it just makes the fans, it's basically insulting the fans, I think. So I think it's a hard situation because I think he has a lot to still gain by losing that match. If you throw in a wild card of maybe Sheamus being in that or onto the match, he's a wild card right there. I don't know where he's going, but I think he's going to be at WrestleMania. Then you have Dolph Ziggler. If they cost each other the match, Ziggler and Daniel Bryan, they're leading to a solo match at probably Extreme Rules, which makes you instantly want to watch that thing. Yeah. They're going to get a good 20 minutes to say, you know what, we screwed each other, there's going to be emotion, the reason for that fight finally. Whereas then Dean Ambrose can steal the title away. if Dean Ambrose isn't going to win the title, I think the only other logical choice is Daniel Bryan. But I think, is that too obvious a choice? And I know at ladder matches, when it's multi-man at Mania, they like to throw it to be an obvious choice, but the least of the few obvious. And I think Dean Ambrose has been built up enough that I think he's the guy who should win it, but Daniel Bryan, it's one of those two I think are walking out. Let's be real about that.
Yeah.
I think this match potentially is going to have great spots. Hopefully no one gets hurt, but it could seal the show where if you put it too late in the show, it's going to kill the energy of some of the later matches. So I think look to it to be match 1 or 2 of the card.
I think so, yeah. I think absolutely.
But I think I'm excited to see what some guys with that talent and that kind of chip on the shoulder and the crowd reaction get in that match. If it's early on, that's going to be a moment to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a match where you're going to have an entire ring full of people that are trying to have a WrestleMania moment. And I think it's going to turn out very well. I think it's going to be a great match.
At worst, I can see it being decent. I can't see it being a bad match.
No.
And the outcome, there's enough good choices. There's a couple of wild cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even be okay with R-Truth getting one last thing because there might be something special about that, but I don't think it'll happen.
No.
But I think it's gonna be a special WrestleMania moment. It's gonna be entertaining, and it's gonna, if it's early enough, I think it's gonna be the right match to start or to keep things on track.
Yep.
So I'm excited for that match. I think Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose are the two to look for, and most likely I would probably agree with you that Daniel Bryan's probably gonna take it because of depending what happens in the main event, the title might need to be important. So the first title match that we're really talking about is the IC, which could lead to next sort of big title they're trying to push it, is the United States Championship. Presently, the champion is the undefeated Rusev. Versus Mr. America, Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect, John Cena.
Mr. John Cena.
How do we feel about this one?
I don't see a scenario in which Cena loses.
You can't see me losing at WrestleMania.
No, and it's one of those situations where I think, oh man,
it's a video version. We do an audio podcast. This time I have to.
Yeah, you're a lot more animated in this one.
I think I agree with you. I can't see a scenario where John Cena loses. I think if they do that, and I think the will and should and will win is John Cena.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, I think you need to make Rusev look as strong as you can for 90% of that match.
Yeah.
I think you need that to happen.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a great match. He's going to look really strong. I think he, in the end, is going to
lose in America.
Probably submit to the STF. Is it still that or just STF?
It's STF, but at WrestleMania in America, it might be the STFU.
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah.
Rusev. Lana could be a part of that.
She could definitely play a part, and
and then it's whether she accidentally caused him or on purpose,
Exactly.
But she's off busy shooting an important WWE studio movie.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that. I also expect in this match, one of the few, they always have big moments of entrance. I think this is gonna be one of the matches where they have a big entrance.
I think so. Yeah.
So I look forward to that. I think John Cena is walking out champion. There's only a 5% chance, and I would some people would be surprised, but there's always that option that Rusev. But I think there's gonna be other stars that I just can't see John Cena losing this fight. They gave him the cheap victory at Fastlane. I think that built him up enough to go okay, he beat him, So I can't see Rusev winning this match. But I expect a good I hope it's nasty, and I hope they go at each other, and he knows Cena's gonna bring his A game, and we'll see what Rusev does. But it could have a big if that crowd can kind of see past their let's boo John Cena, I think we're gonna have an exciting all-around WrestleMania feel for that, and hopefully Rusev can get a WrestleMania moment, whether he wins or loses.
Yeah.
I don't see him winning, but hopefully it's a good stuff. What do we got next?
So that takes us to
the guy who actually faced. I think you want to talk about the guy who faced John Cena.
Yeah, the Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt, who is obviously who
is 0-1 at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Sorry, he has not won a WrestleMania match.
No, he's
versus a guy who's won every WrestleMania match except one.
Yeah.
Last year.
So, I gotta say.
So sorry, are you saying this match is two losers from last year's WrestleMania facing each other?
That's right.
And one has decided he's not going to show up a whole year, and the other is going to carry a feud.
Yeah, right on his shoulders.
So obviously they would reward the guy who is carrying the feud, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Jokes aside, what do you think's going to happen?
I say Undertaker he's going to come over, he's going to win the match, and I think that it's going to need to be a fantastic match on both sides. Like, so I think Bray Wyatt has to look really strong. He's got to come over like $1 million. He's got to take Undertaker to the limit, but I think in the end, Undertaker does take it, yeah.
I just, like, it's interesting because last year's match, if you take away the ending, it wasn't the greatest match. It wasn't even all that, like, good, to be honest. So a year later, he's a year older. I mean, he's maybe, like, as long as there's no concussion, I mean, that played a big part potentially. Mm-hmm. But I hate the idea of, like, I'm not even the biggest Bray fan, but I think it's the wrong idea to have him lose. And the thing is, most people, like you were saying, well, they can't have The Undertaker lose 2 years in a row, but he's the new face of fear, and if Brock Lesnar's not going to be there, if Brock Lesnar is leaving at WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt has to win this match. Yeah. But I think in order to show him as a new face of fear and as an attraction, he either has to have the greatest thing where they both get, if he loses a match, he has to be equal and have Undertaker be taken off while he stands up, or he has to beat The Undertaker and become a new attraction, the new face of fear. Unfortunately, I still see them. I'm slightly siding with you and saying Undertaker, but it's not as like 100% as people think. Yeah. I think Bray Wyatt has a good chance at winning this match.
I think the loss last year for The Undertaker does put an interesting potential for, he's
beatable now. Maybe.
He can lose, and that it's not a question of whether or not it's a streak or whatever. It's he can lose, so. It's just a matter of does it happen this year, and I don't think it will. I think, they're gonna, want Undertaker to look as strong as possible. That's, it's a,
I have a counterpoint to that, which is because Undertaker has only got another, like, 2 or 3 matches at most probably at WrestleMania. Don't you think Bray Wyatt's the right guy? Because if you want a young guy to beat him, you need a guy who's similar to him, and he's such an such an interesting character. Don't you think he maybe is the right guy?
I absolutely do agree. I think for me, I think that it's probably the best idea for The Undertaker in this role to kind of pass the torch, I guess, to Bray Wyatt, because they've, for the better part of, I guess, what is it, like 2-3 years now that Bray Wyatt's been doing the whole cult thing, and it's been really good, but I think after a little while it sort of misses the mark, and it sort of hits a wall where it loses momentum, and the wall sometimes is named John Cena. But I think they're really trying to focus on like the paranormal sort of spooky, spectry stuff. Yeah. For Bray Wyatt, and it's what better way for him to absorb that kind of aura off of beating The Undertaker, and
It's one of the harder matches to predict, I think. I think there's an easy who should win, especially for all the work he's done, but the will win is a much different thing, and it's like if Undertaker is not going to wrestle another match, then I get them saying he's going to win, but if he's got another few in him, then maybe it's that next year he faces like Kane or someone, in like whether he wins or loses, like he gets a final big payoff. But it's a hard match to pick, and I'm curious to see. I don't know if the match quality is going to be all that great, to be honest, but I think it's more the storytelling, which I'm curious. So we got 3 of, like, I guess the bigger matches as the WWE claim. Let's talk about Mr. Money in the Bank, who he's facing, the betrayer of the Authority, the Viper, Randy Orton.
And
like, can you see him doing that at WrestleMania?
We'll do the glittery fireworks.
Yeah. Oh, I missed those. Those were great fireworks. Alberto stole them.
Yeah.
And then
Christian had them first, though, with the Christian.
No, it's come to... No, but yeah, he then got fired. Alberto, that is.
Yeah.
For standing up for his dignity.
For saying racism's bad.
Yeah. Shame on you for that. No, but yeah, so Mr. Money in the Bank, he betrayed, injured Randy Orton, who conveniently was shooting a WWE studio film. Yeah. And then by that time, Seth Rollins doing pretty good. And then Randy Orton came back, made it seem like he was friends with him, and then destroyed him one night in a predictable but a very good, watchable moment of Monday Night Raw. And now, a few weeks later, are you still excited for this match? What do you think?
I'm excited in as much as I know it's going to be a good match.
Quality wrestlers?
Yeah, quality of wrestling. They're going to put on a fantastic match. But, I feel the build-up was just... too rushed, and it just wasn't enough.
You were saying to me before that you kind of kept forgetting this was a match.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every time I've been thinking, I'm like, okay, well I got to go through the card and kind of go through all the matches. I'll see it. I'm like, oh right, that's a match. That's happening. And it just because about 3 weeks ago, Rollins didn't have a match, and that to me says that maybe there was a plan around kicking around the potential that he may cash in or something.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't go that way, he's got his match now. So, whatever the case may be, I think they just said, okay, well, kind of last minute, let's put him in a match with Orton.
I think that match was sort of always kind of in the plans for the last few months. But the thing is, like we were talking about, is there's a big debate. If he doesn't cash in Money in the Bank, I think he has to win this match. If he does cash in and successfully, then I think you can have Orton win, and it also takes this guy's a bum now, and then he wins the title, and then Orton's a clear number one contender. Yeah. If he doesn't do that, then I think by hook or crook, and you and I both ideally think it shouldn't be by shenanigans, so you make Seth look better, but I think he has to win the match if he's not cashing in. Whether hook or crook, because you can't have the Authority help him and still lose at WrestleMania.
I think Seth needs to win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think, ideally, I would like to have him win clean. I don't see that happening.
I agree with it. I get, 100%.
There will be some J&J shenanigans.
Double J.
Yeah. So, it's pretty well agreed upon that Rollins wins.
I think so.
And
Randy's always going to look tough. He's like John Cena, you know what I mean? And the thing is, he can use that because he's so crazy to build another story going he can get upset himself and go even crazier. So I think he's actually okay as long as he goes crazy or he gets screwed over. Yeah. He's okay to lose, and then you build him up, beat up a few guys, and then he faces one of the title guys, whether it's Rollins, Lesnar, or Reigns. So I think Randy's okay as long as it's a strong match.
Yeah, Randy doesn't need the win. Rollins desperately does.
And if he proved anything at the Royal Rumble match, I think he shows you he can go. And I think Randy, I think Randy's okay with putting him over.
I think so too. Yeah.
So we both thinking Rollins by hook or crook somehow he's gonna win. I mean, if you cashes it in at the main event, different story maybe.
Yeah.
Which leads us to our two final matches.
Yeah.
We'll save the title match for the last, but my favorite wrestler from WCW and of all time, Sting, has finally returned, or for the first time in the WWE.
Yeah. Yeah,
and who's he facing?
That is H cubed.
HHH.
Yeah.
The Authority.
Yeah.
The CEO. Oh.
Yeah.
The king and queen of the WWE, the king of it, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque, or how is that? Am I saying his last name right?
I think that's about right.
But he got screwed over by Sting at the Survivor Series.
Oh yeah.
And Sting has waited 14 years to not wrestle in another.
No, he has been sitting in a Turner Broadcasting coat room for the past 14 years.
Yeah, he hasn't been wrestling for a thing called TNA. I don't watch TNA, to be fair, so I agree with them.
Yeah.
I will say this off the top of the bat. I really wish they used Lex Luger to beat him up, to say, Sting, I beat your friend up. He's basically dead. So I think that's funny. With all jokes aside, the build's been really good, minus having him talk the Raw before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with that.
No, the problem I had with it is they have been building him up for weeks and really months by showcasing him as the WCW Crow Sting.
Yeah.
And he was always quiet and brooding and didn't really say much until Yeah. I mean, later on, he did, he did a couple of promos here and there, but largely he's remembered as being quiet and, watching from the rafters and all that spooky stuff. And then he came out on Raw and had a promo where he was, kind of gleeful and just jovial, and
it was the wrong night to do it.
Yeah, and it was very reminiscent of TNA Sting. And
again, I don't really watch it, so I can't really.
Yeah, well,
and he did nothing those 14 years. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, no,
you forgot. Shame on you.
I didn't say T. I said Turner.
Yeah.
But it was not WCW Sting, and I think that hurt. Maybe not hurt, I guess, but it, to me, kind of lessened the momentum going into this match.
But let me say this. it's Sting at WrestleMania. It's Sting in his first match ever. I think when we get to WrestleMania, I agree with what you're saying. But when we watch WrestleMania on Sunday night, I think you and I are gonna be excited, or everyone watching is gonna. That's a moment to go like, hey, friends, be quiet. Sting's there.
Yeah.
We both, I think, agree, and we can get right to the point. Sting's not losing this match.
No.
Will and should win is Sting. Triple H is a smart guy. Mm-hmm. There's no business a good plan in having him lose if you having him for a year or two in this company.
He's not going to bring him in to have him lose right off the bat. I mean, they did that with Brock when he came back, but he's someone they've had in the ring there.
Yeah. Triple H just lost to Daniel Bryan last year. Yeah. And so I can't see the franchise player of WCW. Yeah. That would really be a terrible decision. I think, especially if your main event isn't all that beloved by the fans. So to have Sting lose would be a terrible idea, in my personal opinion.
I agree with you. I think there's almost zero way, I think, that...
would you agree with this, that this is probably the first match you give 100% yes?
Yeah. I got to say 100% win rate to Sting. Triple H,
The game, Triple H.
Oh, my God. Unless he brings out Katie Vick and they...
Too soon, man. I think Triple H is a smart enough guy. Yeah. Maybe not so much in the next match that we're going to talk about in a second, but I think he's smart enough to know that Sting's first big first match, I think you can't have him lose. It's WrestleMania. It's more about the feel in this match, and I think Triple H is the right guy because I know people want Undertaker, but I think he's a bit raring better to go. I think it's a better matchup. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a good match, whether great, but I think it's going to be a great moment.
Yeah.
There's something unforgettable about Sting being at WrestleMania, I think.
Yeah. And you know, going back to Undertaker Sting, I mean, there's no clear person to cheer for in that match. It'll be a great match. They're both great.
That was my thing. Is you can't have Sting lose his first match, and the fans don't want to see Undertaker lose
exactly.
that much. I don't. And Undertaker is they're both at the same age, so I don't think they need someone who can bring something out of them.
It's not. Yeah, it's just not a smart way to book a WrestleMania match.
Speaking, I didn't know we were going to talk about that match, but you said the key word smart booking of a match, which leads us to the main event of WrestleMania. Yeah, the main event. We have this little guy known as Brock Lesnar, the man who defeated Undertaker's streak.
Yeah.
And we all thought it's leading to the obvious, and it happened. Roman Reigns is going to win the Rumble. They're building to this. Do you think they're going to go with the obvious and have Roman Reigns, the eye contact wearing, the believe that sucker and succotash, Roman Reigns, The Rock's cousin, beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania with Paul Heyman at his side?
I am going to go out on a limb and I will say that Brock signs again and retains.
Brock signs!
Oh, dear God, that contract had a friend. I really think Brock's going to re-sign because, I mean, there's no viable option really for him. And, I mean, you could do, a couple UFC matches here and there. I think he's got more of a career and it's a smarter move to stay where he is.
Yeah.
And I think that being said, I think he's going to retain.
Okay.
And I think he's going to remain a special attraction and leave the other titles like the U.S. and Intercontinental title to be elevated by the guys that are holding it now.
Had those guys, Cena and Bryan and maybe Dean, not been in those matches or be the most likely winners, I would say, there's no way this is happening. But because those guys, they can elevate it, so now maybe those titles can, it's not WrestleMania for the next year. They can get away with this.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm all for seeing the heavyweight championship less, but I need the other titles to mean something more because then there's nothing to fight for. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword because if you have the title being defended every month and then every Monday, it becomes stale when you see 10 years straight of Cena every month defending the championship.
The champ is here.
So I mean, it becomes less of a, less of a special event. Is my point, I guess. So I'm okay with him being a part-time superstar coming in with the championship and defending it and eventually losing it.
at the right time.
Yeah, but those other titles need to mean something, and I think they needed something like this to happen to have a reason to elevate them.
Okay.
You know, and yeah, I that's my pick and you know, the other option is if say he doesn't sign, I'd say that Reigns wins. You know, maybe like a fast count or something like that, and Brock gets pissed off, takes a chair. Yeah, just like it completely just decimates Roman Reigns to the point where, you know, he can't walk on his own, and then Seth Rollins comes in. Cashes in.
Successfully or unsuccessfully?
Successfully.
Okay.
And then that sets up the next pay-per-view for the, you know...
Extreme Rules, the most important pay-per-view since WrestleMania. Yeah, that'd be my hype.
And then even at that point, throw Randy Orton in the mix, so he gets his...
Especially if if Rollins wins the title again, then you have Randy Orton. Yeah. He can win that, and he's also still due his title match, right? Yeah. My thought is, here's the ways you go. You have Lesnar cleanly beat him like he did Cena almost at SummerSlam, which is a huge surprise. Reigns still gets a main event at WrestleMania, so he still gets a big moment. Option 2 is Roman Reigns defeats him, and the crowd starts booing, and then Seth he F5s him, and then he's down, and Seth Rollins cash in, and then there's the option 3, which is Paul Heyman screws over Brock Lesnar, and it's perfect for Roman Reigns because the crowd's going to boo him. He's not great on the mic. Then you have an evil guy who's great on the mic. It's a great match made if you're looking for him to be a big name, because right now the cheers aren't fully there. So this is the only way to leave to justify that crowd reaction. Yeah. So those are one of the 3 options I think they go with.
And, you know, there are some good options out there to sort of redeem the build that's been...
Give me the title. Yeah. That I did not like that. You and I don't think a lot of people like that.
Yeah. No, it wasn't the right note to leave on leading up to WrestleMania.
Your biggest pay-per-view of the year. Yeah. This isn't Fastlane. This is WrestleMania 31.
I mean, it's not over the limit. You know, it's not...
Is that still a pay-per-view? I can't even remember.
I don't even know.
I miss bragging rights. No, it's an interesting pay-per-view, not just this main event, but there's a lot, other than the Sting match, I think there's a lot. I mean, maybe even the Divas match, I can't see, if it's a tag team match, I can't see the Paige and AJ losing. Yeah. So other than those 2 matches, I can't really see an obvious 100% outcome. Yeah. I know people are saying the Undertaker thing, but this last match is very important because that's the lasting image you have. And if Reigns is going to win, you have the option is he a bad guy? Mm-hmm. And if it's like, if he just easily beats Brock, and it's kind of like, so that year build was for that. Yeah. The reaction isn't there yet, and there could be backlash.
I agree.
Not 100%. The pay-per-view even, just like actual backlash. So I'm intrigued right now at WrestleMania. I will say it's not the greatest build. Yeah. Would you agree?
I agree.
And but they still have a chance to deliver, I think.
I am excited to watch it, but I'm skeptical about what the outcomes of some things will be. Yeah. You know, and it doesn't feel like a WrestleMania season, but I'm hoping by this Sunday things will come around a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. What do you guys think? You can tweet at me at the Lindsay Lewis.
At Kevin Herron.
And more importantly, you can tweet at our show.
At Vintage Podcast.
Tell us what you think. What do you guys think of WrestleMania? Who you're rooting for? Who you think will win? Should win? All that stuff. And also then it leads to the biggest Raw of the year.
Oh yes. The Raw after WrestleMania.
And I think that one's going to be one for the ages. And it all depends on what happens with, I think, how the show ends. But it's going to be must-see TV. Even if the WrestleMania is not good, you're guaranteed at least one Raw where you have to watch. Yeah. That's the one. What will Sting's be like at WrestleMania? Will Reigns, Brock, or Seth Rollins be champion? Will Cena, will Bryan, will Dean Ambrose? There's a lot of questions, and we're going to get answers soon.
Will we all be fandangoing again?
Da-da. The answer to that is no. Will Sheamus show up? Will you care? I probably won't.
I definitely won't.
Who's so crazy is that? So I'm excited for it. I like the idea of that not every match is set in stone like most years, but that doesn't always mean it's a good thing.
Yeah, you know, there's something to be said for fluidity, but, some structure would be nice.
With that said, let's end this drive on the road to WrestleMania. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Take care.